For our discussion tonight, focusing on the Marikana reparations, accountability and plan of action, we're joined in studio by a candidate attorney at the Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa, Kuselwa Danki. And on the phone line, we're joined by a counseling psychologist, Buyisile Mgcina, and Mpho Kwininka, the president of SAPU, that's the SA Policing Union. A very good evening to all of you, and thank you very much for joining us. Let me start with you, Kuselwa. What exactly has the government done in terms of reparations? Have they been able to pay all of the families that are supposed to get money? How far is that process?
Good evening. SARU represent 36 families of the 37 mine workers that were killed in 2012. So what we did in 2015, we filed a civil suit against the Minister of Police. And during the negotiations, we came up with the state requested that we must do all these proceedings out of court. So since 2015, we managed to settle the loss of support. Remember, all these mine workers, 34 of them were working. So they're supposed now to pay the loss of support for their loved ones. So the 33 families that now have accepted their loss of support are expected to be paid soon. But there is one family that the loved one wasn't working, but was not working like a formal job. He was doing odd jobs. So now, and he did not have any children. All his siblings were major, so the state is not offering him anything. So that family will not get any monies from the loss of support. So the ones that have accepted the settlement should be paid soon. And because, like I said, we are still talking about the loss of support. There are other damages that the state must compensate the families. For instance, we said there must be constitutional damages. The families must be paid for grief, for losing their family members, and also for future medical costs. And we also requested that the state must make a formal apology to all of these families. So none of those have been accepted yet. So we haven't received any instructions from the apology, which was supposed to be the first thing the state to communicate to the families. So we haven't received anything from that. So now we are negotiating the settlement. They're calling it's general damages. So they want to put all these other claims into one claim. So we are negotiating that. How much is it going to be per family or per person?
So is it true that what government is saying, that the reason why the payouts haven't been made yet is because the families haven't yet accepted the terms and conditions of what they want to pay them out? I mean, it's been 6 years. Why is it taking so long?
No, the pace that the state attorney was also going was very slow. I remember it cannot be said it was because of the families. The first offer was given to us in 2016, September. Yes. So we communicated with the families. We were hoping that we're going to get something. But out of those, we found out that the money that was offering our clients was just too low. So we had to go back to the table. And then the final offers were sent this year in February. And then we had to consult our clients after like May, June. And then that is the time that the families signed the offers, accepting them. So that was in June. And then in July, that was in end of June. So in July, we had a meeting with the state attorney to finalize everything. So it cannot be our clients.
Now let's just involve Mr. Kwininka here. Good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Now, you know, the findings of the Farlam Commission found that the responsibility should be laid squarely on the SAPS. Does the police front actually agree with that, the police union?
No one is above the law, and a perception should not be created outside there that police can kill with impunity, or they can act with impunity. Any action which the police take, they have to justify it. And if a firearm has been used, Section 49 will give you the procedure that needs to be followed in terms of subsection 1. And if you have complied with all those elements in there, the killing will be justifiable. But if you have committed an offense, you have to go and clear your name in the court of law. So if there are members who are implicated in this massacre in Marikana, they will go through that process. And I think South Africans are aware of it because the Director of Public Prosecutions then at Northwest had to even stop the prosecutions of 278 minors who were also implicated in this, pending the outcomes of the Farlam Commission.
Well, please do stay with us on the phone line as we go across to Buisile. Good evening to you, Buisile. In terms of the emotional well-being of the families that have been afflicted, I mean, it's 6 years down the line and not much has been actually paid out to them in terms of reparations or whatever other damages they've suffered financially as well. What should have been done to also help them with their grieving process and the emotional healing?
I think what's very key and important is that the families need to go through therapy or some form of psychological intervention as a unit, because you must also understand that when this was happening, it was happening within the context of groups. So it's highly important for us to consider their emotional well-being. Just from what I've heard, the mere fact that very little has been done over the years also poses a bit of a challenge in terms of these families finding some form of closure. Yes, closure is a lifetime process, but also having to continue to fight the system, having to continue to reach out and ask for these platforms is also in its own shape and form delaying the process of mourning the grief and loss that they've undergone.
Kuselo, what has been done, I mean, from the ground, speaking to the people that you actually represent, was any sort of counseling or, psychological assistance offered to them in the past 6 years?
As far as I remember, after the massacre, the social development did send some social workers to the areas, but that didn't work because at some point the families had to go and attend the commission. So during the commission as well, we requested that there should be some social workers around so that they can assist the clients when they are distressed. So the process, like the formal process whereby each and every person go through to the clinical psychologist, that hasn't been done. And at some point, some of the families themselves, they took up to themselves, those who could manage to pay for the psychologist, they paid from their pockets. So that's how it happened. So from the state, it was not on a formal way. It was just on an ad hoc basis.
And also, in terms of the presidency visiting the Marikana families that have been affected, are the families willing to have the president come over and meet them in Marikana where the massacre happened? What's happening in terms of that communication?
I think since after the massacre, the families have been trying to reach out to the state, and it's just that no one has ever tried to come to them. And I think today one of the widows, Mrs. Mosebetsane, did mention that calling upon now specifically to the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, that we are here and we've got so many questions to ask you, and because I don't know why you're not coming to us so that we can ask those questions, and you are the only person that we think only can answer those kind of questions. So they've been waiting and waiting for 6 years now, which I think it should be done soon.
Well, Mr. Kwinika, just coming to you regarding the policing, public policing, there was a report from government that there have been trainings going on of about 3,800 members of the police force in terms of crowd management. Do you think enough has been done, or should more be done to better equip the police to handle such situations better in the future?
We have indicated to the public that the police, for them to be able to deal with issues of crowd management in this country, they will need a public order policing strong force of about 10,000. They are currently standing at 4,500. They still have got a lot of recruitment to do to get the numbers, to where it is required. Have they done enough to do the training? Yes. Remember, there are recommendations which were made, and those recommendations are now being put in place to shape the current training kind of the public order policy South Africans need. But having had this opportunity as well, I would love to know, why is it so possible for everyone to want to assist only the 34 minors? Because Marikana massacre did not only start on the 16th. I believe that it started a week earlier. Mm-hmm. Why is it so difficult for South Africans to speak about those incidents? Maybe the lawyers that are here can assist us too to understand it. Mm-hmm. Because there is also an outcry that is coming from there.
Well, let me actually just bring it back to you, Kuselwa. What about the other families that were affected? As Mr. Kunik has mentioned, is there anything that's been done about them? Have they also come forward to say we need legal representation, you know, for what we suffered as well?
If you can also remember, there are 34 that were killed on the 16th, and then 10 died during the week before. So on the 13th, 3 mine workers were killed plus 2 police officers. So we also represent those 2 mine workers. And then there are other workers who died during that week. Even during the commission, they were attending the commission. Some, they had legal representatives. I remember one, the widow of Julius Langa, didn't have a legal representative. And she used to stay with our clients. When we're calling meeting, she will be part of that of those meetings, even though that, knowing that she didn't have someone that can also explain to her what is going on, or also to tell him how her husband was killed and what is going to happen now, who is responsible for those killings. Because when we're consulting our clients, we will explain the process and everything, and then she will be left alone. Like, what about my husband? Like, like, I want to ask questions as well. Who should I speak to so that my husband also, his name mustn't be forgotten, and then we focus only on the workers. So those difficulties during the commission, I think we did took towards to the evidence leaders, so that at least he must also be given a legal representative. So after that, I think there was someone, I'm not sure now, after the commission, whether the person is still in contact with her, or is he going to do something for that family and other families.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Kunik, another thought is, what about the widows of the police personnel, the police officers who actually died on duty? What happens to them? Is the state taking care of them? Is there something that's actually arranged for them?
You see, we are raising these issues because those members, they are now seen to be not a part of what has happened in Marikana. Mm-hmm. You know, and every time when we speak about Marikana, we speak about the 34. The 10 people who died earlier, those people, I don't know how do we view them. Because there were 6 miners who were killed there. There are 2 security guys who were killed there as well, and 2 police officers. Those 10 people are not taken care of. And we were speaking to part of the family just this week, and they are so petted. They are worried about the way we are handling this issue. Mm-hmm. They have lost their loved ones, just like those who have lost their loved ones on the 16th. And this is one of the most painful moments that those people are to be faced with. But the union is going to, we have promised to get involved and want to find out, because the state was supposed to have been the one that is dealing with the issues of the 2 police officers. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the other people, I thought the NGOs that are assisting with the 34, they should have really got in and assisted. Is it because the police, the 34 who were killed by the police, is it because, and please forgive me on this one, I don't want people to perceive me somehow, but is it because this is an easy money that we can get from the state? Because the people who have killed the miners were the state employees?
A very difficult questions you're asking there, and of course the state is the only one that can really give us substantial answers that will actually satisfy the families of those police officers and those who died before the 16th of August. Now, Buyisile, in terms of this day becoming a public holiday, do you think that that's a good idea to also just show respect and, you know, to honor the memory of those who passed on both on the 16th and in the week leading to the 16th?
In terms of my own personal opinion, we have set aside days where we hold in remembrance people who've lost their lives in terms of fighting for social justice. I do not see any reason why this day would also be disregarded in that kind of light. Yes.
And Kusela, do you also think that it should be a public holiday?
Definitely. I think the Marikana community, including our clients and the mine workers, from day one, they did say that 16 August should be declared a public holiday. So, yeah, it should be.
And Mr. Kunika, do you also agree that today should be declared a public holiday?
We completely sympathize with all those who were killed during the Marikana, the Marikana massacre. And if we were to deal with the issues of public holidays, we will leave that to the politicians. I think they are the ones that are pushing. But in pushing so, they must also take note of those who died before the 16th.
And just lastly from you, Mr. Kunika, what should the chain of command be in a situation such as the one that took place in Marikana?
The chain of command means that the senior police officer who pitches up in any parade where junior police officers are, that senior officer will take charge of that command scene of crime. The National Commissioner of Police pitched up in that environment. She is the sole owner and responsible commander at the time when these things took place.
Ubuyisile, can I get closing comments from you?
I think in closing, it's definitely a tragedy that has happened. And I think in commemorating this day, it brings us all to a consciousness around what has happened. I think the conversation must continue in terms of finding or settling into some form of social justice for those who are bereaved. It is very important that they do seek counseling. One of your guests did mention that social workers are involved, but my hope would be that social workers would focus on the livelihood of the families, and psychologists would also be brought into kind of the process in terms of holding group therapy, because you must understand that these are shared experiences. And if we are to deal with them adequately, we should also provide platforms where these families can also come together to form that community in which they can all carry each other's burdens of the grief and loss.
Kusela, your last words?
If you remember, some time ago, the president did mention that he wants to atone Marikana community. So I think now what he can do, because we just touched one of the very burning issue of what is going to happen to other. There are 7 people that were killed before the 16th of August. And the people who were not killed by the state, they don't know where they're going to claim for, who to sue on that matter. So now if they say they want to atone Marikana, I think they should also just put all of this matter into one. All 44, they should be the responsibility of our government. So.
Well, thank you very much to you, Kusela, and our guests who joined us via the phone. It is time now for a short break. We're back at the top of the hour with news and updates. Thanks.